over to building construction and Myers-Lawson School of Construction and Construction Engineering Management.
Woohoo! Hi. So one question that Marlena didn't ask, how many of you have to be here? How many of you really want to be here? See, every hand is going to go up when we're done, okay? Because you've got two different kinds of programs that have people that are very passionate about what we do. So we're going to convince you. So my name is Lisa Tenley. I have been here at Virginia Tech only a couple weeks longer than you. I have been here about 6 weeks. I am the Associate Director for Outreach and Industry Engagement with the Myers-Lawson School of Construction and a Professor of Practice, which means I come not from academia, but I come from the construction industry, where I was a vice president for 2 different general contractors. And the school has a lot of people like that teaching, like Dr. Lally, or Professor Lally, who you'll meet later. We are very lucky to have researchers that are doing cutting-edge things in our field, like Dr. Bulbul, who you'll meet, and also people like me and Professor Lally, who came from the world of construction to share what we know and our excitement with you. Okay, so that's who I am. How many of you knew that we had a nationally ranked school of construction at Virginia Tech? Raise your hands. So a lot of you did not know that. How many of you didn't know there was such a thing as a school of construction? Be proud. Raise your hand if you didn't know. Right? Okay, so there is. We are about to celebrate our 20th anniversary. We are really lucky that we have passionate industry friends, partners, and supporters who believe in what we're doing and helped us found the school. So what we're going to do today is talk about both of our primary programs in the Myers-Lawson School of Construction. And we're doing it that way as a combined presentation because we share a lot in common. We have some pretty important differences that I'm going to point out and that you're going to want to attend to, but we have a lot more things in common. So rather than bore you with 90% of the same content, we thought, let's talk about all the things we have in common and then also sort of delineate the ways we're different. Does that sound good? Okay, great. So one of the things I'm really bad at is remembering to change slides. So you're going to find that out today. And I like to walk around like Oprah. You probably don't even know who Oprah was anymore. That's how old I am. All right, here we go. Yep. That threw me off, Marlena. Okay, so before I kind of launch into it, we have a lot of, pretty cool content in our industry. So I'm going to kind of warm you up with a video about the building of the Falcons Stadium in Atlanta. Any Falcons fans here? Oh my God, are you that embarrassed to be? There we go, yay. So you're gonna really like this. And I will tell you that one of our industry partners who comes to our campus at least 4 or 5 times a year, and who I have personally walked students over to vice presidents of that company and said, you ought to hire him, he's fantastic, she's wonderful. They built this. And you're gonna hear a theme tonight. I'm gonna talk a lot about how the industry is super engaged with our students and our faculty, and how that benefits you if you choose to pick one of our programs, okay? So hopefully I can launch this video successfully. Cool, right? Has my Falcon fan been there? Is it awesome? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so that's what we do, all right? So I got you hooked. Okay, here we go. God, we're getting okay. So here's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to spend a little time making the case for construction. Wow, I'm loud. Because I think that's important. We have a bit of an image problem in our industry that we want to bust some myths tonight, okay? Because we have a lot of really cool toys, and we're going to show you some of those. And we're a wonderful place for people who like to solve problems, which, as engineers, that's what you do. We're going to talk about who we are, what we learn and do, and go deep into our academic programs. Does that sound good? Let's do it. All right, so why construction? Now, I want you to tell me, I'm going to need some audience participation. Sorry if you thought you were just going to zone out. You did not come to the right evening. I want to know what you think when you hear construction. Shout out. Really loudly. Blueprints. What'd you say? What'd you say? You're laughing. What'd you say? Okay, what else? Louder. Okay, what else? Excavators. What else? Do you think highly professional? Okay. Do you think dirts and boots? Okay, we got a little bit of that, but we are highly professional, and we have a lot of incredible technology. And really smart people who are doing some pretty amazing things. So there are some stereotypes out there, but I think that we have some amazing things to offer folks like you who are starting out and trying to figure out where you want to kind of make your mark in this world, okay? So let's get into some of them. We're going to talk a little bit about, Marlena, did you add different slides than I did? Okay, here we go. I'm going to start with some basics. Our students have a 100% placement rate. That means all of them, and I'm being honest, all of them get jobs, go to graduate school, or go into the military, of course, if they're Corps of Cadets, okay? Yeah, there you go. I see you. So that's pretty impressive. So we are in an industry that is desperate for talent. Construction is always happening, right? Like, look at our campus, right? The tower crane we've got going on. We have to get smart, talented people to build and renovate all of these buildings, roads, bridges, etc. And so there is a desperate need for talent. You will not be unemployed. And in fact, as you're going to learn tonight, most of our students have multiple job offers, and most of them have their job offer in hand before they start their senior year. I'm dead ass serious. Many of them have multiple job offers, okay? So I've offered students, when I was on the other side, jobs in July, okay? I'd find somebody as a sophomore and keep them. Average starting salary is about that. I'm hearing higher anecdotally, and a lot of our companies are offering bonuses, like start bonuses. So it's a lucrative industry. Here are some other things that you should know about us. Clearly, we are building the spaces where life happens, right? Hospitals, places of worship, senior living facilities, multifamily, single-family houses, roads. Anybody drive up and down 81 and see that massive road project that seems like it's been going on for a really long time? Yeah, we do that kind of thing. We build stadiums. We build industrial facilities. We build restaurants. I could go on and on. So we do some pretty cool stuff there in the world, and we make a difference. We're a great fit for people who like to see tangible outcomes from what you do. Our folks can drive down the street in their communities and point out to the people that they love, I built that. I had a superintendent who got to build the $65 million expansion of Arlington National Cemetery. Anybody been to Arlington National Cemetery? Really special place. And it was the culmination of a career building all kinds of things. And it was particularly special to him because his father was buried there. So how many jobs allow you to have impact like that? Like, that's a really cool thing to do in your career. So that's the kind of things that our folks do. We solve problems all day long. We walk on a job site at 7 a.m., particularly if you're in operations, and all day long you're solving problems. So your education actually here as engineers really helps you with that. We deal with people. It's a people-forward business. It is a great business for people who like interacting with other people and have the interest to lead and manage. Because that's what most of us do in construction. We are leading and managing teams of people. So if that's attractive to you, I hope you'll consider one of our programs. I could go on and on. I'm a very passionate advocate for this business because I've seen what it does to people's lives and the fulfillment and sort of, like I said, the tangible rewards that they can get from their labor. Another cool thing about our business is you will interact with all kinds of people every day of your life. So for example, at one of my companies, we were building a lab. And the person who was going to use the lab at the National Institutes of Health was a virologist who was like a world-leading researcher in what this person studied. And so our senior project manager, who was building and retrofitting this facility, had to interact with this owner, right, this genius. They had to interact with the owner's representative, who had a former career in construction. They had to interact with the drywall foreman, who had an 8th grade education, but knew way more about drywall than my senior project manager ever would, right? This is all in the span of about 5 minutes. So it's a great job, again, for people who really love to interact with people and sort of have that human-to-human contact all day. Sound good? Was any of this a little surprising? Somebody has to nod. No, you're shaking your head. You must be very smart. I think we've already got her. She knew it already. Okay, great. Let me move on. Having a hard time with the Oprah thing and all the things. Okay, so here we go. So here are our primary programs: building construction and engineering management. You're like, okay, what's the difference? I'm going to get there. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about all the things that we have in common, okay? So in general, this is all very similar for our students. We have dynamic, very engaged faculty who come from industry and who are researchers and forward thinkers that are changing the landscape of what we do. So we've got a nice blend of both. We have engaging classes, and our students often take some of the same classes. We have labs, all kinds of cool labs. If you've been to HIT Hall, you can walk through and see some of the spaces that we have. We also have a really cool 3D concrete printer that I'm going to talk about. We have a career fair that is, I'm going to help you do the math here. We have 163 companies coming to our career fair in 2 weeks, and about 800 students. That's pretty good odds for you. All right, so we have a very engaged industry, big career fair. Our students do very similar kinds of internships, whether they're BC or CEM. We have competition teams. We have a student here tonight who you'll get to meet later who serves on one of those competition teams. They compete across the country and even internationally. And we have organizations that many of our students like to join that explore different topics in construction more fully. Okay, so here are some of our toys. I know engineers like the technology. We like the sexy toys. Well, here we go. So we have research who are studying the use of drones in construction. And this is already out in the field happening, but they're doing some cool stuff with this. Has anybody seen the drone field? It's out past the duck pond. It's pretty cool, right? So that's a place where we can test this stuff. We also have industry partners who let us use their job sites to test this stuff. And it has implications for things like safety, right? You can imagine how a drone could be useful in that, but also site logistics, sort of tracking what's happening on a job site from week to week, that kind of thing. We also are doing some really interesting things with augmented reality, VR, things like that. Did anybody go to the Weeks of Welcome big event for engineers under the tent outside? Did anybody see our VR headsets and try them out? Weren't they cool? Did it surprise you that we had such cool things in construction? A little bit. I'm making him say yes, even though he shrugged. But that's really interesting, and that is cutting-edge stuff. We also look and do research into autonomous equipment, which you can imagine could also be super useful in our world. Wireless sensors, robotics. We have Spot the robotic dog you can come see, and you can imagine some uses for this that could be really important in getting the robot to do things that people can't and potentially go places that they can't or maybe shouldn't. And so we have folks working on this. We also have all kinds of wearable technology that we're studying, including exoskeletons. So one of our industry partners actually tested some of this on some of their sites and were able to give us data on how it worked. But you can see a lot of things happening in technology and just different emerging ways to do the work that we do. One of my favorites is our 3D concrete printer. It's very large, and it has been used to actually create a house in Richmond. And our researchers, like Dr. Andrew McCoy, are studying how we might leverage this technology to make housing a little more affordable, more resilient, things like that. And Andrew is very well known already for this, and he even testified before Congress. He's considered an expert in the country on this kind of stuff. So you get to come play with toys like that if you are in the Myers-Lawson School of Construction, regardless of which program you pick. All right, so I've convinced some of you. I'm very confident that you're intrigued by this, and you may want to learn more, so let's get to it. Here we go. So let's talk about the difference, okay? Building construction is not an engineering degree. Now you might be like, well, wait, aren't we talking about the College of Engineering? We are, and we believe we fit very well in the College of Engineering. Again, we talked about technology, problem solving, et cetera, but this degree is not an engineering degree. Construction and engineering management is an engineering degree, okay? So you are going to be taking a lot of the fundamental courses that all engineers take, and you are able to become a professional engineer. Does everybody know what that means? So you take you first at FE, and then after a period of time, depending on the state you live in, you can take the test and garner the right experience and become a professional engineer. CEM students can do that, okay? Building construction students go right into the major if they wish, right? All of you know what happens when you're an engineering major, right? You're in general engineering first, and then you kind of find your path, okay? Same thing. So here's where it gets a little tricky, because they are similar. But building construction in general focuses on, it's in the title, buildings. Now we have plenty of graduates who go on and work for road construction companies or things like that. But a lot of the coursework does focus on buildings and building performance, means and methods, things like that. There's also an emphasis on entrepreneurship and business in BC and management, okay? So here's some subtle differences. In construction engineering and management, there's a little bit more of a focus on engineering design and managing that process throughout construction. There's also courses on management, because again, we are typically leading teams of people and leading projects. There is a little more exposure in CEM to the sort of heavy civil construction, okay? So you see, these are really subtle differences. So you might be saying, Lisa, I'm still struggling to figure out which one I might pick. I think if you want a business-focused education that gets into the means and methods of construction and still providing you with that technical background, but getting a PE isn't your goal, or becoming an engineer by title and certification, you might consider building construction. If you want an engineering degree, and that's important to you, and you know you want to focus on construction, but you want to be an engineer and have the option of being able to take the PE, you may want to pick CEM. Do you think I did that okay, Professor Lally? Okay, good. Dr. Bulbul, all right. This was the big moment of truth for us, because it is a little tricky to explain. After this session and after the Q&A, I invite you to come back and talk more in depth with both of Professor Lally and Dr. Bulbul. They are the chairs. So Professor Lally is the chair of our CEM program, and Tanyel Bulbul is the chair of building construction. And we also have two students that each represent one of these programs who can ask and answer questions for you more in depth, okay? So just a little more to give you a taste. CEM is really preparing you to solve problems, okay, and transform designs into reality. Apply engineering principles to execute complex construction projects, and manage resources, and that can be people, time, money, process, etc. Courses that many CEM students take and that are, kind of representative of some of the special courses that we offer include these. So you can see some of them are pretty technical, and some of them are more about management or the business of construction. Make sense? BC, building construction, you're going to see there's subtle differences here. Prepare people to lead a range of construction projects in different roles. So people come out with all kinds of different roles. We're going to show you those in a minute. They're trained and taught to understand the business of construction, and they gain expertise in construction means and methods, technologies, and processes. Here are some classes that building construction students might take. And you can see not all that different, but some pretty cool stuff. A lot of what's going on in construction right now, and it's a big tool that's frequently utilized, and there's a lot of demand for experts in, is building information modeling. That's a really interesting area of research for us. I think there's a lot of AI implications for that I think we're just delving into and having some fun with. But this is, you'll see in the real world, a ton of work like that. So, does that clear it up a little? You're nodding, I'm so happy. Afterwards though, if you want more specific answers, I really encourage you to come talk to them because they can delve into a little bit more which is the right fit for you. Neither one is better than the other. They're both fantastic, and they are designed to appeal to different people for different reasons. So that makes sense? Okay. Next. How's my time, Dr. Lester? 10? Oh, I am bad at sticking to time. And she's going to find that out, and she's going to be like, oh my God. Okay, so I hate to look at my screen, but this isn't working for me. So these are some things that are common across all of our curricula. A lot of project-based work. Now, why do you think we do a lot of project-based work in construction? Louder. Hell yeah. That is our life in construction. It is a team sport, okay? One person is not building any kind of project. And so we help our students get used to that from day one. So they are very used to working in teams because that will be their reality, regardless of the role that they take in our industry, okay? We do a lot of hands-on stuff, a lot of team, and a lot of project-based work. These are some of the different themes of things you can study, the general themes of what we delve into in our coursework and in our research. All pretty interesting. I would say leadership is a common theme. We really are trying to prepare leaders of projects and people across both majors. Some of the things that make us special. We do a really cool culminating experience for our students that allows them to sort of weave together everything they've learned over the course of their education. Our students do a really cool thing called Capstone, where we have people who lead construction companies, and I'm talking presidents, owners, VPs, all kinds of people. Our students come and they present what they've been working on all semester in front of this audience and get feedback that's incredibly valuable from these people. They also can win money, which is kind of cool. The winning teams actually get money there that our industry donates, but that's pretty cool. That's invaluable to have that presentation experience, public speaking, and interacting with people who are going to be hiring you. Something special all of our students do. Cool labs. You really need to pop by Hitt Hall and Bishop Favreau. Both of our buildings have really interesting spaces for our students to muck around and try things and really kind of stretch the boundaries of what we know about our industry. We give away over $100,000 in construction-specific scholarships every year. So we have all kinds of scholarships for all kinds of folks. Our competition teams that Tyler's on, and he'll talk about that a little bit, I'm sure, when he gets to the Q&A. So we have different ones from heavy civil to concrete, and they compete all across the country. We often win. And last year we went to Ireland. We do study abroad. So a lot of our study abroad short-term programs are very service learning focused, which I think makes sense, right? Like we'll go build something in another country. What I love about it is often when we travel, we're consuming, right? The experience of another country. When you do it through a Myers-Lawson School of Construction service learning class, you're contributing to that community. So this summer, we're at the end of the spring semester, we're going to Peru, and the current plan is to build a greenhouse with a local community there. So we're going to be leaving a tangible thing behind that really makes a difference to this community. We're also just met somebody from Malawi who would like us to come to Malawi and help build school houses from start to finish within 2 weeks. They have a whole process for it, and potentially partner with students from local universities to do that. So we're really looking for cool ways to get you abroad and applying some of the things that you're learning in the classroom to make a difference. We also have long-term study abroad programs in Australia and New Zealand, okay? And you can learn about all of those at the Study Abroad Fair, which unfortunately competes with the construction fair, but you can do both. You can find a way to do both. I mentioned this, and this is huge. I cannot stress enough how fortunate we are to have passionately engaged industry folks show up every day. And when I say industry, I'm talking about owners of companies you've heard of. The name alone of our school tells you something. Has anybody heard of Alan Myers, the ginormous construction company? Well, Ross Myers is a graduate of this university, and he helped start the school. We've got people like that come to our campus all the time. I showed you the video of the Falcon Stadium, Holder Construction, big name in data center construction here in Virginia. They're here all the time. I could go on and on. And these are the things that they offer our students. They come and share their expertise. They coach, they mentor, they offer internships and jobs. They even look at our curricula sometimes and say, you know what, I think you need to be focusing more on this. This is an emerging thing happening in the industry. So there's a really good relationship that we can offer our students. As freshmen, you will have these people in your classrooms and speaking to you and sharing with you their experiences. How am I for time? Marlene, how am I for time? Good, okay. I don't want to get the hook. I think we do by the way, that's me. I didn't pick this on purpose. That was me when I was in industry. We do a really good job preparing you for the world you're going to be in. I talked about that, about our curriculum, right? How we do a lot of project-based stuff, team-based stuff. You're constantly engaged with industry. Our freshmen get internships. If you want one, you will get one. And one of the ways we can do that is our career fair, which all of you are invited to. Everybody on campus is invited to it, and we do have quite a few people show up to our career fair from other programs. I highly recommend it as freshmen because you get to practice and refine your skills at talking to people about yourself in a professional context before the stakes are super high, right? You don't want your first career fair to be when you're a senior and you've never done anything with a professional kind of setting and you're looking for that first job. So come when you're a freshman, walk around, see what it's all about, start to get that taste. So we do a fantastic job with our career fair. And I don't just say that because I'm in the picture. And I don't know if anybody have heard of this or seen it, but this is a really special ceremony that we have for our graduates, both BC and CEM. It's called hard hatting. So this is our special graduation ceremony, and all of the students get their own hard hat. And we do something really personal. We introduce each person, we talk about where they're from, and we talk about where they're going for their career. And we can tell everybody's going somewhere, so we can celebrate and share all the success stories of our students at hard hatting. So this is something I think that's really special about us, and it's one of my favorite aspects of our school. All right, I think I have a minute, and I'm sure I won't get any questions, but are there any questions? You're gonna come see us after? All right, I love this one's great. You're very interactive. I like you. I hope I changed some minds. I hope I piqued some interest. And I hope I didn't confuse you further with the differences between these two wonderful programs. Like I said, there really isn't a right answer. There's a right answer for you. So if you want to learn more about the nuances and hear why this could benefit you, please come talk to Emma, Kate, or Tyler, or Dr. Bulbul, or Professor Lally afterwards, and they'll answer some questions. All right? Thank you so much for your attention. Really appreciate it. No standing ovation? God. Scott, come on. You got to top me. You got to give Scott a standing ovation now.
All right, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right, I'm going to try to stay tied to the podium here because if not, I'll forget what I'm going to say on the slides. My name is Scott Case. I'm the Reynolds Metals Professor and Associate Department Head for Undergraduate Studies in the VIA Department of Civil Engineering. And I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit about our programs in the Civil and Environmental Engineering Department. First of all, though, I want to tell you a little bit about myself because my experiences certainly form my perception of how things go, and it impacts how I may share information with you. So first of all, I grew up in Collinsville, Virginia. I bet you didn't know there was going to be a Virginia geography quiz this evening. Anybody know where Collinsville is? I don't see any hands. Anybody know Martinsville? Okay, there we go. I get a few more with that. For those of you who don't know, I've tried to highlight the location here. It's close to the North Carolina line. In fact, my parents' house was about 15 miles from the North Carolina line. The reason I know that is when I was a kid, we used to hop on our bicycles, ride to the North Carolina line, step across, and then ride back. As you can understand, there wasn't a whole lot to do in Collinsville at that time. I'm a first-generation college graduate. In fact, my parents were first-generation high school graduates. I'm a 3-time Virginia Tech alumnus. That means if you cut me, I bleed maroon and orange. Come on, you should laugh at that. You have to humor me. I tell my students they have to laugh at my feeble attempt at jokes. I've been a faculty member at Virginia Tech since 1997. And most importantly, I'm the proud parent of recent college graduates, and so I have an understanding through them of the decisions that you're trying to make at this point. My oldest son finished his undergraduate degree in civil engineering from Virginia Tech in the spring of 2021. And then my younger son finished an undergraduate degree in chemistry from Mary Washington University. I think he chose to do chemistry because it's something neither my wife nor I would choose to do, so it was his act of rebellion. Ironically enough, he works for a civil engineering firm right now, as does my oldest son. And I was happy to learn last Wednesday that my oldest son just became a licensed professional engineer in North Carolina, so I'm quite proud of that. Thank you, and I'll tell him that you did that. He'll appreciate that. And then finally, I'm a self-confessed sports junkie. And this is something that I did a couple of years ago for my oldest son. He's also a sports junkie. The way the football season has been going, I'm already starting to look toward basketball season. But you didn't come here tonight to hear me talk about myself. Hopefully you came here to learn a little bit about civil and environmental engineering at Virginia Tech. Within civil and environmental engineering, as the name of the department implies, we have activities in both civil engineering as well as environmental engineering. Civil engineering focuses on the design, construction, and maintenance of the physical and naturally built environment. As you can tell by its name, the things that we're doing are focused on the public good, and civil engineering name reflects that. The environmental engineering name also reflects the areas that students and professionals in that area work in. There was a discussion about problem solving. All engineers are naturally problem solvers. Environmental engineers seek solutions to environmental challenges that impact the health and well-being of society and the environment. So whether you're looking at civil engineering or whether you're looking at environmental engineering, the activities are focused on the public good. There are a number of challenges that society faces, and if you don't mind, I have my cheat sheet here so I can feed a few statistics to you, because most engineers thrive on discussion of numbers. One of the challenges that's been identified is energy and climate change. In fact, we had some discussion about construction. 30% of the global greenhouse emissions are attributable to buildings, either through their construction, their maintenance, or operation. How many of you have heard of extreme weather events? Okay, they tend to happen. And extreme weather is a serious concern, particularly in terms of how resistant our buildings are to those extreme weather events, or how resilient they are in terms of being able to go immediately back into service. Urbanization is a real challenge across the world. Approximately 200,000 people are added to urban areas daily worldwide. That naturally increases the demand for safe, affordable housing. There's a $15 trillion infrastructure gap expected by 2040 worldwide. Civil engineers, for better or worse, also contribute to the use of natural resources. In fact, if you look at where raw materials are used, the #1 consumer of raw materials in the world is the construction industry. That sounds like it's a negative, but it's also a tremendous opportunity. If you have something that's very large and you make a small improvement, then that's a significant change that you've made for the world. 65% of the next decade's construction will happen in developing countries, and so it's taking place worldwide, outside of the locations where most of you are probably from. And then finally, we recognize that there's a talent gap. At the present time, we've already had discussion about job fairs, about job placements. In addition to that, about 50% of general contractors and engineers are concerned about finding experienced workers, not just now, but also in the future. So engineering, and particularly civil engineering, is an in-demand profession right now, and it's expected to continue that way. So within our department, we try to focus on preparing students to address these challenges. Our mission is to prepare the next generation of civil engineers. There are some people who think we're good at that. We've been recognized nationally and internationally for our activities in research as well as in education. This is my brief civil engineering at Virginia Tech by the numbers slide. So our enrollment at the undergraduate level, we have about 670 undergraduate students. Of those, approximately 30% are female. Within our department, we also have a large active graduate program consisting of about 300 graduate students. I'm fortunate to work with about 56 colleagues who are enthusiastic about sharing their experience. The faculty members in civil and environmental engineering, like those in the Myers-Lawson School of Construction, have a combination or a wide variety of experiences. We have a number of faculty members who are research-focused. We also have a number of faculty members who are professors of practice, including one who remains the vice president of a business while he's working as a faculty member at Virginia Tech. And then I mentioned that a few people say good things about us. You'll learn through your experience that academics have a love-hate relationship with rankings. They hate the fact that rankings exist. They'll protest against rankings until they find that they're ranked highly, and then they like rankings. We're fortunate enough to be ranked highly. Our undergraduate program ranking in the most recent U.S. News and World Report ranking was number 9 nationally. And our graduate programs in civil engineering were ranked 9th nationally, and environmental engineering ranked 4th nationally. So lots of people think that we're doing good things. Much of that is due to the faculty members that we have, but more importantly, it's due to students like you that we're able to attract because of the rankings that we have. So it almost becomes this self-fulfilling thing that if you're highly ranked, you get good students. As a result of that, they go out and do great things, so you continue to be highly ranked. So we're really dependent upon you as current students or future graduates of civil engineering. Within civil engineering, we're aligned with different specialty areas. These are groups that we associate our faculty members with, as well as the areas in which we offer courses. Our 6 program areas within the department are construction, engineering, and management, environmental and water resources engineering, structural engineering and materials, geotechnical engineering, sustainable land development, and transportation systems and engineering. Hopefully you're wondering, well, what are these different areas? So in the interest of time, I'll try to give you a brief blurb associated with each of them. So construction engineers, as we've already seen, oversee and manage large-scale, complex constructions that involve many stakeholders. In particular, they're responsible for managing construction resources, labor, materials, equipment, money, and time. Environmental and water resources engineers apply knowledge of fluid mechanics, biology, and chemistry to minimize and manage waste and pollution. And in the process, they protect the air, water, and soil, as well as individuals from harmful chemicals. One of the things that they may do is design systems and equipment to help manage the world's water resources. For example, municipal and wastewater systems, locks and dams, and other measures for flood control. And then they characterize natural hazards and risk. I had to label the figure there because I didn't know that you would be able to tell that that's the aftermath of a tornado. And so one of the things that engineers working in this area would be to characterize the risk that tornadoes will occur in a particular area so that they can work to mitigate the damage associated with tornado occurrence. And this is a tagline to remind me that I need to mention our environmental engineer. It's new in an academic sense. We're in our 3rd year of admitting students into our environmental engineering major within our civil engineering degree program. And so if you wish to, because you're focused or you're really interested in environmental engineering, we have a standalone major associated with that, and we'll be happy to discuss the details with you if you would like. Structure and materials engineers, I'm a little bit biased. That's the most important area within civil engineering. It's the area that I work in. Structural and materials engineers design and analyze all man-made objects. whose primary function is load resistance associated with carrying loads. Some examples: buildings, bridges. You probably expect to hear that from civil engineers. How about aircraft? Did you expect to hear that civil engineers work with designing aircraft? Did you know civil engineers work with that? I've got a student I worked with who now works for Boeing doing exactly that sort of thing. Transmission towers, drilling platforms, and so on. And as they do this, they have to consider social impacts, economic impacts, environmental impacts, and hopefully as well, it looks pretty good afterwards, so they have to focus on aesthetics as well. Geotechnical and coastal engineers analyze soil and rock that affects the behavior of structures, pavements, underground facilities, and so on. They design foundations, dams, retaining walls, roadway cutouts, and other items. Land development engineers. My son works in this area, so I had him help me put the slide together. They help plan residential, commercial, industrial, or mixed-use developments. And in doing so, they determine the feasibility of a development project and assess the land to ensure that it can support the planned development. Transportation and infrastructure systems engineers improve the movement of persons and goods. They plan, design, operate, maintain, and manage safe, sustainable, multimodal transportation systems. All right, how many of you are interested in getting a job after graduation? Okay, how many of you are interested in getting a job before graduation? Okay, I'm glad to see that. We're interested in helping position you to do these things. In civil and environmental engineering, we found and we know and we continue to expect that it's a stable, in-demand, and transferable occupation. The entry-level degree for most civil engineering positions is the BS degree. Often a master's degree positions students for advancement. I've already mentioned professional engineering licensure. That's an important part of most civil engineering occupations. Job growth, we anticipate that the number of positions will continue to increase. The Bureau of Labor Statistics suggests that over the next 10 years, the job growth will be about 6% nationally. That's faster than average for all professions. Starting salary, somewhere between $65,000 and $80,000, depending upon the location that students end up working in. Many of our students or many of our alumni find that they're interested in perhaps working for themselves rather than working for someone else. And so once they have experience, they start their own civil engineering businesses. We try to position students or graduates to be able to do that. In other situations, they move into senior positions, such as management, positions within the government, or in other areas of public policy. So we hope that our graduates learn many different things while they're with us. That includes exposure to science, society, as well as sustainability. We like to think that civil engineering is an interface profession. We want our graduates to be impactful when they leave Virginia Tech. Because we're a state institution, our first responsibility is to the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we hope that many of you, after you graduate, will choose to stick around. As a taxpayer and a public employee, I particularly hope that you'll stick around so that I can continue to get paid. If you choose to leave Virginia, then we hope that wherever you go within the world, you'll make a positive impact on the world, and we want to prepare you to do that. And in particular, as a civil engineer, we expect you to design safe, sustainable, and resilient infrastructure that improves the quality of life for all. And one of the things that we get evaluated on as instructors is whether we reinforce and repeat key ideas. So hopefully you get the idea here that for civil engineering, our goal is doing things that benefit the public as a whole. So yes, in fact, we do make you take classes. That's either a positive or a negative, depending upon your viewpoint associated with them. Getting a civil engineering undergraduate degree requires 128 semester credits. As you know, all Virginia Tech graduates have to satisfy pathways requirements. We have no control over those. We'll just say, yes, you have to do that. In addition, you'll get exposure to science. Required science courses are in the area of chemistry, physics, as well as geology. You have to take math through differential equations. That's a requirement associated with ABET that says you have to take math through differential equations. We'll go along with that as well. We have a degree core. The degree core includes things like computer-aided design, CE measurements, and fundamental courses in 6 of the 8 specialty areas of civil engineering. Much like your activities during the freshman year provide you an exposure to engineering disciplines so that you can make an informed choice of the major that's most appropriate to you. Within civil and environmental engineering, we provide these fundamentals courses so that you can get exposure to each of the different areas within civil engineering so you can identify the area or areas that fit right for you. And we're not going to tell you this is the direction that you should go. We give you an opportunity to figure out which direction is best for you. Once you've gotten that fundamental experience, we want to allow you to develop depth in areas that are of interest to you. And so we offer elective courses at the 4,000 level within the department. In addition, we provide opportunities for you to get exposure outside of the department that complements the activities within the civil engineering department through a selection of what we call restricted electives. Restricted just means they come from a list that you get to choose from. And then we hope that our curriculum is challenging. We're not in the business of giving degrees away, but at the same time, it's forgiving enough that students can still complete their studies when things don't go exactly according to plan the first time around. In fact, about 80% of our graduates are able to complete their degree within 4 years. To help you out along the way, whether you're trying to plan what you're going to do or perhaps recover from an unexpected event where things did not go exactly the way you planned, we have a team of faculty advisors who work with you. We have a lead advisor, Ms. Lauren Varbancourt, who's sitting up front here, as well as 7 faculty advisors. Students who come into civil and environmental engineering are assigned a faculty advisor when they transition into the department. And the advisor remains with the students for the duration of the student's academic time within civil and environmental engineering. For me as an advisor, that means I get an opportunity to ask you questions about what you're interested in and try to offer advice that's based upon your interests rather than just upon my own. We had a discussion previously about study abroad opportunities. Within civil and environmental engineering, there are different ways that study abroad can take place. We have a faculty-led program that's taking place this fall semester where students are at the Virginia Tech facility in Switzerland. They have the opportunity then to take 4 classes where the instruction is by civil engineering faculty members in English. But then also one of the courses that's taking place there is really focused on things in terms of art and engineering design that are tied to the location there. So it takes advantage of being in Europe at that time. And there are also faculty-led programs that take place in other locations. And we try to work with students who don't choose to take part in one of these faculty-led programs, but who may want to do something on their own to figure out ways that they can do that and still graduate on time. We know that college is expensive. I've just paid for 2 sons to go to college, so I really know about college being expensive. Our department offers about $300,000 in scholarships to undergraduate students each year. Typical award amounts are about $1,000 to $4,000 and are awarded to students who are sophomores through seniors. Our top scholarships are the undergraduate VIA scholarships. They provide in-state tuition for a year, and again, it's the most prestigious of our awards, and we make several of those awards each year. We talked about the importance of getting a job. We also try to help out students in terms of either getting your first job, whether it be an internship, a co-op experience, through civil engineering-focused career fairs. We offer a civil engineering-focused career fair each of the academic semesters. Our upcoming civil engineering career fair is on October 6th. If you'd like information about it, that information is available on Handshake. Like the construction career fair, if you'd like to attend, you're welcome to sign up and attend as well if you have an interest in a job working with a civil engineering related company. We attract companies from all across the U.S. At last year's career fair, I talked with a recruiter who came from California who talked about how she likes to come to the career fair here because she knows that she's going to get top students. We'd like to continue to be able to provide top students, and so help you turn out to talk with her. And again, many students find internships and full-time positions through this opportunity. If you are going to participate, I ask for you to protect the reputation that we worked hard to develop with prospective employers. So prep beforehand. Don't just show up cold and look to talk with somebody. Dress professionally. And have copies of your ID and copies of your resume with you. The copies of your ID are so that you can check in when you get there, and the resumes are necessary for obvious reasons. We have a number of student organizations. Within the Virginia Tech scheme, we're about an average-sized department, which means on a national scheme, we're pretty large. So there are lots of different opportunities available to you. There was discussion of competition teams. We also have competition teams. In fact, during the most recent national competitions, we had 4 of our competition teams that placed in the top 10 nationally, so they're pretty good at the things that they do as well. The important thing about any of these activities is they provide you with an opportunity to begin developing or continue to develop professional networks. Regardless of the major that you choose to go into, work hard on developing your professional network, and then once you've started developing the professional network over time, make sure that you maintain it. You never know when a need will come up and you'll think back, wow, when I was an undergraduate, I met so-and-so, that person works in this particular area, I need to know something about it. And so you send them an email message, send them a message on LinkedIn, or maybe even call them and say, hi, we met at Virginia Tech in 2025. I have an interest or I have an application in an area that you're working in. Can you help me out? And it's really remarkable how many people are willing to respond favorably when you do that sort of thing. One of the appealing things to me about the engineering profession is almost everyone who works in that area is genuinely interested in helping people out, and that extends to people who are looking for help for them or from them. We are a research university, and so many of our faculty members have been hired on the basis of their proficiency in research. That's a great opportunity for you as an undergraduate student. And in fact, about 15 to 20% of our undergraduate students get involved in research in some fashion. There are different ways that that involvement can take place. If you're interested in just volunteering in the lab, we've got lots of opportunities for students to volunteer in the lab. If you'd like to get paid, there are opportunities to get paid while working in the lab on research projects. And there are also ways that you can get course credit for activities that you take or that you do as an undergraduate researcher. It counts as experiential learning, which is a requirement for all of our students as part of their degree programs now. And in many cases, undergraduate students get to travel to professional meetings to present their research. Again, this ties into the networking. The primary reason to go to a conference is so that you can meet other people who find out about things that you're interested in, things that you're capable of doing, and for you to interact with them so that you can continue to do that during the road or down the road. And then finally, as I wrap things up, again, we're trying to prepare you for the future. The American Society of Civil Engineers has told us that it's important for the next generation of engineers to think about the future built environment. Some of the questions that I'll ask you to think about right now, and if you choose to go into civil engineering or if you choose to go into other disciplines, I ask you to continue to think about them throughout your studies at Virginia Tech. Those questions are, what technologies will be within reach, either within the near term or the medium term? Where will people live, work, play, and shop in the future? How do we address issues of sustainability, resilience, safety and security? And will the things that we develop, the things that we build, be economically and environmentally affordable? And then I have the opportunity as a guy who's getting gray hair here, who's also worked with many students, as well as my sons, to reflect on things that I wish I had done differently when I was a Virginia Tech student. So if I could go back a few years, or maybe more than a few years now, and tell past Scott, these are the things I wish you had done, this is my list. So you've heard me talk about building a professional network. I really wish that I had worked harder to take advantage of opportunities that are present at Virginia Tech to build that professional network early, and then to focus on maintaining it throughout my professional career. I'm fortunate enough now that I've learned that this really is important, and I found that I have professional colleagues throughout the world that if I send them an email message or I give them a telephone call, they'll answer the telephone call from me, and then if I ask for help, they're willing to provide that help. Don't ever undervalue how important that is to you as a professional. I'd encourage you to take classes just because you're interested in them. I was fortunate enough to do that. There's kind of an interesting story where I had an 8 o'clock class and a 10 o'clock class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Civil War history at that time was taught at 9 o'clock. The person who taught it was a world-known scholar with expertise in the area of the Civil War. And so I took the class with him. I called it Story Time with Bud Robertson because that's basically the way he did class. It was like telling a story each class. And it may have been the best class I took at Virginia Tech. I encourage you to take advantage of opportunities that are available to you. Some of the examples that I've listed here are study abroad, co-ops, internships. Whatever you do as a student at Virginia Tech, don't skip on the co-ops or internships. If you're having difficulty finding a co-op or an internship, reach out to your advisor. And then for those of you who think you may be interested in graduate studies, look for opportunities to do undergraduate research. One particular set of programs that are focused on that are what are called REU programs. That's research experience for undergraduates. NSF sponsors them at many different universities across the country. If you're interested in going somewhere else to do undergraduate research during the summer, look up REUs on the NSF website and find one that matches up with your interests. I encourage you to spend time with faculty members, interacting with them while you're undergraduate students. Most people who come to work at a university do so because they're interested in interacting with students. You have access to the world's top experts in many areas at Virginia Tech. Take advantage of that. I challenge myself to think outside the box more. Just don't look at what the check sheet says. Oh, these are the courses that you have to take to complete your degrees. Think about what are you interested in getting out of your degree program while you're here, and look for ways to do that. And then finally, again, if you're interested in graduate studies, I encourage you to look into the undergraduate graduate program. It's a way that you can speed up your process toward getting a master's degree. And that's a tremendous opportunity that we make available to our top students that I didn't have. And I appreciate your patience with me this evening. Hopefully I was able to answer some of the questions you may have. If not, then we've got an opportunity for you to hit us with questions now. Thanks very much for your attention.
Is the lighting okay for y'all, or is it too bright? Because we've had to adjust it the last couple nights. Is it okay? All right. Excellent. All right, you ready? Everybody back in their seats? Excellent. So what I'd like to do first is give you all an opportunity to introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into the questions. And so the way that you operate these microphones, they're really nice. These have been fantastic mics over the last few days, is you will just leave it where it's at, but you'll push the button to unmute it. And so you can do your introductions, and it can hear you exactly where you're sitting, so you don't have to pull it closer to you. So we'll start with you, if you'd like to do an introduction, and then we'll just go down the line.
Hi everyone, my name is Tanyal Bulbul. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Building Construction. I'm also chairing that program, and I'm so happy to be here.
Hey everyone, my name is Tyler Tierney. I'm a senior in building construction.
Hi, my name's Emma Kate Maxwell, and I'm a senior in construction engineering and management.
My name is Lindsay Lally. I am an associate professor of practice in the construction engineering management program, and I'm also the program chair for that program and a licensed professional engineer in Virginia.
Hi again. I'm still Scott Case, and I'm still from the Civil and Environmental Engineering Department.
Hi, my name is Sai. I am a senior in civil engineering, specifically in environmental and water resources.
Excellent. So we have a few prepared questions, and we'll start with the first one that you have on the table there. And you all don't have to answer the question. If you choose that only one of you at the table want to answer it, or all of you can answer, it's up to you. But the first question we have is, why should a student consider your degree? We'll start with you in building construction. Yeah.
How much time do we have for that? I think one of the biggest attraction for me in construction was that those bragging rights when you're walking past a building or a structure that you worked at. You know all the internal stories, and you will always remember what went through when you were actively working in this project. For example, Lisa showed that stadium. Imagine working at that stadium. You will be showing that to your kids, to your parents, to your significant others, and even if you're not there living in Atlanta, you will, well, at least this is actually a story I did. I would specifically go to that place and visit the structure every now and then, just so that, hey, I worked in this project.
Also, just to build on that and reinforce what Lisa was talking about earlier, is industry and their connection with our major. At least for me, at my internship this past summer, a lot of the things that were going on in the field, in the office, were things that I learned in the classroom, whether it was in Bishop Favreau, in Hitt Hall, through the Myers-Lawson School of Construction. Lisa showed a lot of cool stuff, the BIM, the robotics, all the ways our industry is innovating, and it's cool. It's a great time to be a part of this industry and help be a part of the push towards innovation and the future of construction.
Also, from a student perspective in CEM, is very much the same as what Tyler was saying. The industry connections go a long, long way. They're always there to support you, even in the career fairs. I know they're so daunting, but they want you to be there, and they want you to learn, and they want to engage with you. So CEM particularly has been an in for me in so many scenarios. In contracting, in construction, in design. This program is so widely known at Virginia Tech, and it's so beneficial for you to say, I completed this, and I know what I'm talking about, and it gives you so much more confidence.
Yeah, I think another reason why you would consider a career in CEM is, well, over the short term in our program, we have a lot of fun. It is a fun thing to do. And then as we talk to our industry folks who are friends and alumni of our program, you see that they're continuing to have fun. You ask them how their jobs are going, and they're telling you with so much passion and energy and excitement about what they do every day. And you don't get that in every industry. And so I think that that's really special and something that you should consider being a part of.
I would actually say civil I feel very similarly to everything that they've said. The industry connections, especially at Tech, are amazing. Our career fairs are twice a year, which not every single major has a career fair in the fall and the spring, and there are so many companies, I think over 100, if I'm not wrong, and there's only so many students. I think the statistic was 670 undergrad students, so there's definitely a chance and an opportunity for everyone. They're willing to take you if you just are showing interest, and I think the reason especially I considered civil was because there are genuinely so many disciplines. There are 8, which there's so many pieces of infrastructure out there that you would have never thought about if you didn't cover it in your classes, and you're like, how does a wastewater treatment plant work? You know, that's something that you're only really going to cover in civil, and those are basic systems that kind of make our world the way they are, and those are never necessarily going to go out of style. They're always going to be relevant, which makes civil always relevant. So you don't have to really be worried about like job security and anything like that, because those systems will always be in place. And I think that's a great reason to consider civil.
Yeah, and I was going to try not to say anything, but I just can't resist. So one of the things that we consistently hear from employers of Virginia Tech civil engineering graduates specifically, and really Virginia Tech graduates as a whole, is how well prepared our students are to move directly into industry practice, particularly in comparison to students who graduate from other institutions. It's one of the things that we really do well as a college, and in particular in civil and environmental engineering, is to prepare students to move into professional practice.
Excellent, thank you all. The next question we have prepared for you is, what was the neatest aspect of your undergrad experience that you've taken advantage of?
So I think this is a great question. Lisa mentioned the competition teams that I'm a member of. I'll start with that. So I'm on the heavy civil competition team and also a member of the design build competition team. Through those, I've been able to have the opportunity to travel across the country, been to South Carolina, been to Dallas, hoping to go to Las Vegas at some point this year. But the chance to kind of connect this theme of industry you guys all mentioned, I think is a really important part, but also getting experience outside of the classroom and in different fields. At least for me, building construction, you think, oh, it's just buildings. But through the design build competition team, through heavy civil, I've kind of gotten to see all different sides of the industry that I wouldn't have previously seen, and also get to travel the country. And then another cool aspect of my undergrad, how many of you guys have been to HIT Hall? Show of hands. So HIT Hall, a cool opportunity I had when I was a freshman in my introduction class was getting to actually tour the project site of HIT Hall when it was in its early stages. Slab on grade, vapor barriers, columns and beams, kind of seeing it then. And the coolest part is 3 years later, getting to see it now, actually eating food, taking classes there, getting to see how the building has grown, but also how I've grown in my 3 years here. It was a really cool experience for me over the years.
Piggybacking off of what Tyler said, VT is like a never-ending construction site. So being a student here and getting to walk past that every day, that's insane, because you're seeing every phase of the project as you're just pursuing your degree. But I'm also a member of one of the student organizations that Lisa mentioned. I'm the president of Building Women in Construction, and last semester I was able to go to a conference in New York with several other exec members, and it was great to network with people that, obviously the career fair is a great place to do that, but in New York you're on a much more national basis. So I met people that are working on the Buffalo Bills' new stadium. I met people that are from California. It's just a range of exposure and getting to know more people and know more experiences and how different companies interact differently. And that's something that, while industry connections here are great, you don't experience that until you get to go outside of the university.
I would say the neatest part of my undergrad experience so far has actually been something that I haven't done yet, but I'm about to do. So I worked pretty closely with our advisors, and I'm going to be graduating in 3 years, plus doing our accelerated master's program, which is kind of really cool. So I'll be graduating with 2 degrees in 4 years, which would not have been possible without the constant support that our advisors give. Because we're a smaller program, it's beneficial because you're able to have a better connection with our professors. I once mentioned to one professor that I was interested in Superfund sites, and then I had a meeting set up that next week with a professor that was working on Superfund sites and had a potential project, and that might turn into something bigger for like grad school. So I think it's just kind of amazing the support that you get in civil, and how much they do push. I'm not personally part of the American Society of Civil Engineer design teams, my friends are, but you know, being part of those design teams, they do really amazing things. I'm part of other design teams that are not within civil, but I've been able to do really cool things with them. I went to Kenya over the summer as part of Engineers Without Borders trip, which is also something, you know, it all comes back to, you learn all these things in civil and you're able to kind of implement that into all the design teams you're in, and that translates into real world skills and stuff that you'll be able to do in your real job as well.
Excellent. Thank you all very much. So, as students are trying to determine the best degree for them, what is one piece of advice that you would give them to help make that decision?
So, as someone who was in your shoes 3 years ago, I was a freshman just like you, sitting in these exact seats actually at this event, and you might think, oh, it's for 12:15, I just have to show up, scan this QR code to get credit, but it's actually a chance to learn about everything Virginia Tech has to offer and all the different opportunities in different majors. So my advice would be kind of explore, get out there, always say yes to new opportunities. I started in general engineering, not really sure what I wanted to do at all, really. And through the clubs I joined, through the networking events, through all my time through that first year, I kind of figured out I like buildings. I'm from New York City. There's kind of a connection there. I stumbled across building construction and ended up being one of the best decisions I could have made.
Okay. You probably heard this before from others as well, but the job I was doing after I graduated did not exist when I was applying to college. So that's mostly because those were the tech boom times. That when I was applying to college, we did not have internet. After I graduated, we had computers, internet, Autodesk, CAD. Think of it this way. People who are graduating this year did not have AI when they were applying to college. So in your career, I had to pivot a couple times. You might need to pivot a couple times as well. So I think it's important to not to be too rigid and take advantage of anything and everything this university offers to you.
I also agree, say yes to everything. That is one of my biggest regrets, is that as a freshman, I sat back and I was scared that I wouldn't get that internship because I didn't have that experience. I'm from an extremely small town, so coming to a college of this size, it's overwhelming how many people are here. So I sat back and I didn't take advantage of all the opportunities that were out here. I actually started in civil, and I knew where I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to focus on building, but I was afraid to ask questions. And so I slowly found my way to CEM, but had I found my way earlier, the opportunities might have been even more abundant than they have been already.
Yeah, my advice for you is right now you're in large classes. You might feel how big the university actually is right now. Once you choose a path, it's going to get a lot more personal. And my advice is to look around and take comfort in the fact that hopefully you have found who your people are, right? You look around and you see people who enjoy the same things that you enjoy. It'll start to feel a little bit more like home. I know that's how a lot of our students feel in the School of Construction. And you know, your time here at Virginia Tech, relative to how long your career is going to be, is pretty short. And so, yeah, you might change your mind, and that's okay. And if you do, then just seek out the advisors in those programs, and they are a wealth of knowledge and information for you and can get you pointed in the right direction if you happen to take a wrong turn.
I would say my biggest piece of advice is have a passion or like a goal in mind. I feel like a lot of students, they let school like bring them down almost, because it's like exams every other week and then you have all this homework and this and that, and you know, it kind of takes the enjoyment away from school, but then it also, for a lot of people, takes the enjoyment away from what they want to do. Like my goal has always been, okay, at the end of the day, I want to help the people around me and I want to help the environment. That was like my biggest thing. Yes, school is really hard and it makes it tough sometimes, but if you have like a larger, broader goal in mind, just kind of be focused on that, because at the end of the day, whatever job you do, hopefully that's kind of getting you to be there. And what you do in school, your job is not going to have exams. Your job is not going to have, well, yes, you'll have assignments, but it's something that you're working with people, right? It's not an individual thing where you're just sitting in an exam hall and giving a 2-hour physics exam. So definitely just keep a broader goal in mind and work towards that. And then school is going to be school, but use your extracurriculars, use the opportunities around you to guide you towards that. Like, I kind of want to potentially work in renewables, so I'm on the wind turbine design team. Using those extra additional resources will also kind of help you get towards your goal, even if school is just a little bit more challenging. Keep the broader goal in mind for yourself.
This is a soapbox question, so I can't resist. So as you're trying to make the decision about the degree program that's the best fit for you, keep in mind that it's very difficult to go wrong at Virginia Tech. All of our degree programs really are excellent degree programs. One way I could say that you could go wrong would be, as you're going through this process of gathering information, letting someone tell you which degree program is the best fit for you, rather than choosing the degree program that really is the best fit for you. Do the investigation and then choose the one that feels right to you, rather than what someone else pushes you toward. And if your parents, or if you tell your parents I said that, I'll deny it.
So one way that you can do all of the things that the panelists suggested, of course, is definitely go back and take a look at some of the emails that I've sent you over the week about Explore Engineering, because you will find a lot of resources in that email. I know it's overwhelming. I feel like I'm overwhelmed right now with email just myself, right? And that's my full-time job here. So take a look at that Explore Engineering announcement that I send out each morning of the sessions, and look at the bottom and all of those resources that link you out to a lot of the opportunities that we talked about today. It links you out to Gobbler Connect for a lot of the clubs and organizations and design teams. It takes you to our Explore Engineering website where you can dig deeper and get logical, factual information about the programs, and definitely just ask questions. All right, so we have time for maybe one more question, so I'll let you all choose. Do you want to do 4 or 5? I think so too. That's what I was going to say. So I'm glad I'm in alignment there. So the last question for tonight. What is your favorite thing about your degree?
So my favorite thing about building construction, and I'll kind of include CEM in this as well as like the Myers Lawson School of Construction, is how it feels like a family and kind of a community. You walk into Bishop Favreau Hall, you walk into Hitt Hall, everyone kind of knows each other. The industry connections also help with that, and how engaged our alumni are, and from the students to the professors all the way up to like the head of our department, everyone is super friendly, super willing to help, and just a big part of the Myers Lawson School of Construction is that family feel, and like wanting to come back and visit if you're an alumni, wanting to do everything you can to be the best student possible, getting involved with research, competition teams, even becoming a teaching assistant. These are all things that help to give back to the school, and kind of the buy-in from everyone in our program is really special.
I think one of my favorite things is our alumni network. It's just amazing. Usually I wear my Virginia Tech t-shirts when I'm not at Virginia Tech, and when I'm traveling anywhere from East Coast, Seattle, Portland, Texas, I usually hear someone yelling from behind or across the street, Hokies, hey Hokie. So I really, really love that. You are going to be a part of, this is not specific to my degree, but our degree, but still we have a very large alumni network, and you will be able to, find someone anywhere in this country from our university, from our degree.
I just want to add one thing too, like the construction industry as a whole, even though we're just building construction, CEM, even civil engineering. In our industry, you get all kinds of majors. On my site this summer, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, industrial systems engineers. So just because you don't major in building construction or CEM or even civil doesn't mean you won't end up in the construction industry, and I think that's really cool to see all the different players coming together to kind of solve problems just like engineers do.
Yep.
Like Tyler said, MLSOC is just a big family, and we all know each other really well. Even professors and students and program chairs and directors, we all know each other. And because of that, if you go to a professor and you're like, hey, I'm interested in this part of construction, or I think I want to specialize in plumbing or something like that, there are those connections because we have professors of practice. You have immediate industry connections, and they're like, oh, well, I know somebody. Let me have you talk to them. Or if you want to do research in a certain topic, the likelihood of us having somebody to connect you with for you to explore that and see if that's something you like and see if this is where you want to go for the rest of your life. The opportunities are endless, and you can never really go wrong because everybody's always willing to help you learn.
So I agree with all those things. I'll say something a little bit different and more specific that Lisa kind of introduced earlier, which is my degrees are in civil engineering, and I practiced for many years before coming here to Virginia Tech. And one of the things that I learned on the job is more about business and more about management. And no matter what type of engineering you go into, a lot of the career opportunities you may have later or mid-career or later in your career involve management in some way and involve business. And something that I like about our programs in the School of Construction, I know civil engineering is offering these things too, and their their construction engineering management subdiscipline, like we're preparing you for those management opportunities as well. And so this isn't something that you're necessarily going to learn on the job. You're learning a lot of those things in our classroom as well. Another thing I love as a teacher is that these awesome students who I love a lot and all of their peers, they come into our classes and they have had so many professional experiences that the conversations that we're having are so enriched by their experiences. And I'm learning from them, and they're all learning from each other. And that's something that I find is really unique and special about all of our programs here.
This is going to be a little bit repetitive, but then I'll also throw something else in. It really is a family. It's a small program in comparison to something like aero or mechanical. And that might be something you like, might be something you might not enjoy. Personally, it is something that I really enjoy because I walk into class, at least this year, I had guaranteed at least 5 friends in every single one of my classes because we all kind of go into this together. And we finish this off together, which is kind of just great. You like have built-in friends automatically because it is a smaller program, and therefore you know your professors by name. You can just kind of, say hi to them wherever, whenever. Advisors are always available. They try to make sure you get as many opportunities as possible, whether that is summer internships or research or anything like that. I will say another thing that I really like about the degree is kind of how broad it is. You could be doing something as different as wastewater treatment plants or PFAS and wastewater treatment plants, but then also I'm taking Intro to Structural. I might not use Intro to Structural, but if you have a passion for learning, I think civil offers so many opportunities because we are required to take 6 out of 8 of the disciplines, intro classes in the disciplines. So even if it isn't something necessarily that you might be using, you never know when all of that information is going to come back. At my internship, they were talking about how the water engineers, sometimes they do need their structural knowledge from college, just when they're looking at plans. And I'm like, wait, this is good. I'm taking an intro to structural class, and I'm potentially going to use that. So I do love how broad the degree is and how broad civil is as a whole, and they make sure you have a holistic view of civil engineering by the time you graduate, but then you're also focusing specifically on your path, and you're taking your senior design in your path. Which is kind of amazing. So you're kind of getting the broad and the specific, which is, I do love how they've designed the entire program.
Yeah, and for me as a faculty member, it's not specifically about the degree, it's really more about the interaction. I continue to be amazed at the talents that the students bring to the classroom. Yes, there are occasions where things don't go exactly according to plan, but part of my responsibility as a faculty member is to help them learn from those experiences. And I really enjoy the enthusiasm that, on the whole, students bring to their classroom activities.
Excellent. Thank you all very much. Please give our panelists a round of applause. You are free to leave the stage, and if you are going to be managing your table, feel free to go ahead and make your way to the back where you'll have your table set up. Please give our panelists and departments opportunity to get to the back of the auditorium. I'm going to actually wait tonight to put up the slideshow before to allow them to get there, because last night I think y'all ran them over. So just, logistics. Also, there's a few things that I just want to remind you all of. One, I heard a few little bit of coughs in the audience tonight. And so I know around week 4 and 5 of the